Welcome back to Mock Draft Madness, day 46 of doing a mock draft every single day until the NFL draft on April 25th. We are officially in the single digits of how close the NFL draft is. 9 days. I'm very excited. With number one on the clock, Bears, Caleb Williams, Washington Commanders, Jaden Daniels, and then I have the New England Patriots going Drake May. I think the Cardinals are going to go Marvin Harrison Jr. And then as we get to 5, it gets a little bit tricky because while I do think that the Los Angeles Chargers are kind of leaning towards, I think they're leaning towards an offensive lineman. I think they could potentially trade back. I think they could also potentially stay put. Obviously, those are two of the options on where they're picking. But I also think that I know they need a wide receiver. But the more and more I think about it, I just don't know if they're going to take a wide receiver. With who they have there as their head coach, I don't know if wide receiver is going to be the pick. I think Joe Alt is an interesting play because if you put up Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater on the line, it's kind of like a very, very good duo. I know you have Trey Pipkins. He's okay. He's not your future, though. And Joe Alt is a left tackle. But I don't know. Could Joe Alt move to the right? I mean, I don't really see him moving to the right. I think like this pick is a good pick for teams to trade into, but I also think the Chargers don't want to move out until they get the draft capital they need. So maybe they do go tackle here. I think J.C. Latham could be a very good play for them, but I don't know if they're going to do it at 5. I think they would trade back for that. You know, let's try the experiment of moving Joe Alt to right tackle. Now, the New York Giants are on the clock, and while I do think they could use a wide receiver, I know that the Giants really, really, really do like J.J. McCarthy from what I've been seeing. And if he falls into their lap, I find it very hard to believe that they don't take him. I've been on and off this. You know, at first I was like, oh, yeah, they'll take JJ. They might even trade up to go get him. And then I was like, okay, well, no, they'll probably go receiver. But as we're getting closer, it just makes more sense to me that they would take a chance on their guy in JJ McCarthy. You have Daniel Jones for basically one more year. You have Drew Lock for basically one more year. You can use this year to allow McCarthy to develop, and also it extends your job if you are Joe Shane and Brian Dable. So I'm going to go J.J. McCarthy at 6 here to the Tennessee Titans. Now, the Titans are in an interesting spot because, yes, they could take a tackle here, but I also think now that Joe Alt is gone, there is a chance that they probably trade back because one of these teams is going to want to come up here and grab one of these receivers. Unless you're looking at the Tennessee Titans and saying, okay, let's add more weapons for Will Levis. I don't know if that's the route they're going to do. I think they want to improve the O-line a little bit more. So, looking at it here, I think teams that are primed to add a weapon are probably the Jets, probably, I don't know, the Colts, maybe. So let's do that. Let's trade back with the Colts. I think the Colts might be a team that would want to move up here. Indianapolis Colts. Why am I missing them? So we're going to swap picks. And I think a round 2 would do it to move up. What is that, 8 picks? That's a lot, though. You're moving into the top 10. So maybe we give them 82, and they'll give us 106. Then they move up in the third round. So we're going to force that trade through. Colts are on the clock, and they're going to take Malik Neighbors. At number 8, we have the Atlanta Falcons. I think they'll probably end up taking one of the edges here unless they're going to trade back and try to get him. I think it is a possibility. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stick and pick here with a Dallas Turner. I just think like he's the best probably defensive player on the board for their scheme, and they probably don't want to miss out on him. Number 9, the Chicago Bears are going to go Rome Odunze. With number 10, we have the New York Jets on the clock, and they are going to be taking Brock Bowers. They need more weapons, and like I said, you really only have like a 2-year window with the Jets to win the Super Bowl, so they're going to try to get as many weapons as they can. At number 11, we have the Minnesota Vikings on the clock. See, so I think it is very possible that they have to take a wide quarterback right here because with the top 4 guys off the board, there is a possibility that the Broncos and the Raiders take a quarterback here in the first. I don't think it's likely that the Raiders do, but let's say the Vikings pass up on a quarterback right here at 11, or like, let's get one at 23. And then the Broncos go Bo Nix, Michael Penix. You're stuck in a tough spot where it's like, you have to kind of get a quarterback, right? And the issue is both these quarterbacks are a little bit older. You know, you have less injury history with Bo Nix. And I think that's something when you're looking at first-round talent that you want to look at. So I'm going to go Bo Nix here at 11. Number 12 to the Denver Broncos. See, now this is where it gets really tough. Because your next pick is pick 76, and Michael Penix is not making it to 76. So you could go quarterback. I don't know if Michael Penix is really going to be your guy going forward. I just find it very hard to believe that Stidham is that guy for you this year. And I mean, you could look at a guy like a Spencer Rattler in the third, because once the Raiders get their guy, I don't know. I think Penix does what Sean Payton would like, though. So I'm going to go Penix at 12. And now the quarterbacks are off the board, and the Raiders are screwed. So what I'm going to have them doing is adding a cornerback in Terran Arnold, which I think can be a very valuable asset for them. With all the tackles on the board, I think Fautanu is a good pick for the Saints because not only do they need tackle, they actually are, or they already are struggling with both tackle spots and a guard spot. So Fautanu gives you options to play wherever your weakness is because he can play all 5 positions. And while I do like Talisa Fuaga a little bit more in terms of having a higher ceiling, I think for the situation that the Saints are in, Fautanu will provide better solutions for them. At number 15 for the Tennessee Titans, who now have 2 second-round picks, I think they're going to add a guy like a Talisa Fuaga, who is good in the run game. He can play right guard for you, but you could also add a guy like Olufashanu. Honestly, any of these tackles here would be good selections. You know, J.C. Latham, I think, could be a good player for you because of his size and strength. He can play tackle. He can play guard. Same thing with Fuanga. He's a little bit better of a run blocker, in my opinion. So I'm actually going to go with Fuaga here. So now the Tennessee Titans have secured a good portion of their O-line. At number 16 to the Seattle Seahawks, I think adding a guy like a J.C. Latham and moving him inside to guard could be a very, very good play for them. So I'm going to go J.C. Latham to the Seattle Seahawks. 17 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think Olufashanu would be a great pick for them because of the fact that Cam Robinson is not going to be there probably after this year. I just don't see really an extension getting done. I could be very wrong, but at the way it's looking, I think Olufashanu is a good succession plan for when they move on from Cam Robinson. Number 18 to the Cincinnati Bengals. I think defensive interior is a good pick. I think, honestly, any defensive line is a good pick. But adding a guy like a Byron Murphy here and really supplementing that line with even more talent in the AFC, when obviously it's a quarterback-driven league and the AFC has most of the good quarterbacks, or the better quarterbacks, I will say, a way to win, obviously, is to rush the quarterback and force them to throw the ball before they can get comfortable. And when you are the Bengals, you have to make Patrick Mahomes throw the ball. You have to make Josh Allen throw the ball quicker than they want to. I know some of these guys are really good creation artists, but if you're constantly getting pressure on them, you're going to get beat up. I mean, look what happened to Patrick Mahomes when he played the Bucs in the Super Bowl. Like, they blitzed all the time. The O-line was weak, and they just couldn't get it done. And that's what I think is a good attack that these other AFC teams can take, is really stacking up your defensive line. At number 19, we have the Los Angeles Rams. I like the addition of Leatu Latu here. I think he gives a lot. I think he may, without the injury history, be one of the best edges in the class, if not the best edge. So you get a lot of talent here at 19, and if those injuries do not come back to bite, honestly, at 19, Latu is a steal. At number 20, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers on the clock. I think adding a guy like a Quinyon Mitchell could be really good. I think adding, honestly, any of these players could be good. It looks like PFF has updated their rankings, actually. I just noticed that. And they do need interior O-line help. I think adding a guy like a Graham Barton could be a good selection, as he can play all 5 spots, and you can really squeeze him in where you need. They need center help. They need help at a tackle position, and Graham Barton, I think, kind of fits that mold of what a Pittsburgh Steeler is and would be a great pick for them. At number 21, we have the Miami Dolphins. You know, they're going to need some interior defensive line help. They have a lot of depth there, but they don't have a guy, like a really good dominant guy. And Jerzon Newton sitting on the board here at 21 makes that an easy selection. 22 to the Philadelphia Eagles. They need DB help. They also need a third wide receiver. While I think Jalen Hurts is at his best when you have a lot of weapons around him. And I think a corner could be really good for you here. I think you get first-round talent. I think there's also a chance that you can move up and get a guy in the second round, or move up to, you have 2 second-round picks. And I'm wondering if it may be worth it to grab a guy like a Brian Thomas Jr. here and just see what you can do with that offense. We know Jalen Hurts, he's at his best when he has a ton of weapons. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, you add a deep burner in Brian Thomas Jr., and I find it very hard to stop that offense. At number 23, we had the Minnesota Vikings taking Bo Nix at 11. Unfortunately, I wish we could have added one of the defensive interior guys, but they are not on the board at this point. They do need DB help, so maybe adding a guy like a Cooper DeJean, who is a good run stopper. He's a very athletic player and can play both safety and corner, maybe learn from Harrison Smith a little bit. I think it could be a very good addition for the Minnesota Vikings at 23. 24 to the Dallas Cowboys. They need offensive line help, but they cannot pass up a guy like Quinyon Mitchell at cornerback. Yes, you have Trayvon Diggs. Yes, you have Deron Bland, but it's just their corner room isn't that deep, especially after losing Stephon Gilmore. Not to say he was like anything crazy, but he is a valuable veteran that you can value and feel safe with on the field. Yes, he may get burned here and there, but at the end of the day, he is still a good player. At number 25 to the Green Bay Packers. Think they need defensive interior help. Obviously, I think adding a guy like a Jared Verse could be a really good addition. I do think they need some corner help, though. So I'm going to add Kool-Aid McKinstry. At number 26, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Jared Verse falls right into their lap and gives Todd Bowles another weapon to work with. I think he can be a very valuable asset to that line to pair with Vita Vea and Kalijah Kancey, especially after losing Shaq Barrett. At number 27 to the Arizona Cardinals, we had them taking Marvin Harrison Jr. earlier in the first. You know, they do need tackle help, but they do need receiver help as well. Adding a guy like, I know Nate Wiggins would be a good addition, but adding a guy like Jax Powers-Johnson who can really solidify the interior of their offensive line, really anywhere he plays, whether it's center or either guard spot, I think that is just such a high floor pick. And with Paris Johnson Jr., and I know you only have Jonah Williams for another year, you can probably get one of those tackles at 35. 28 to the Buffalo Bills. I am going to go Adonai Mitchell. I think Adonai Mitchell is the last. So I think there's like obviously the first three receivers, then there's the second tier, and I think that kind of ends with Adonai Mitchell, and then you kind of get into that third tier of receivers, which is like the Ladd McConkeys, Keon Coleman, those type of players. At number 29, we have the Detroit Lions, and I'm going to have them selecting Nate Wiggins. They desperately need cornerback help. At number 30, we have the Baltimore Ravens. I think Amarius Mims can be a great player for them because if you look at their offense, they need tackle play and they need both guard spots. Amarius Mims can play either tackle spot, and if you just give him time to make those mistakes, with his size and speed and strength, he can truly be a top 5 tackle in the league. That is his potential. It's just he's so inexperienced. Only 800 snaps at Georgia. I just think this would be such a high ceiling pick for the Baltimore Ravens. At number 31 to the San Francisco 49ers. Unfortunately, looking at the O-line, it's not great for them. I do think they could add a guy like a Troy Franklin in their offense, but we know that the 49ers love defensive line players, and I almost find it hard to pass up a guy like Chop Robinson, but Mikey Sanders still here as a corner to the San Francisco 49ers. They need cornerback help. I like it a little bit more than our O-line options outside of a Jordan Morgan, so I'm going to mix it up and give him Mikey Sanders still. 32 to the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they are going to go wide receiver here. They do need D-line help. They do need tackle help. But with a guy like a Troy Franklin sitting here, it gives them that deep burner. He is like 6'3", 187. I do like the idea of maybe trading down or trading up with the 64th pick and getting a receiver and then taking maybe a Chop Robinson here. I think that could be a very valuable addition. I'm just not convinced at 64 that, any of these guys are going to be here. But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to add Xavier Worthy because he's not going to make it at 64, and he is a fast player, and I think that's what the Chiefs are looking for. I think that's what any team in the modern NFL is looking for. Luckily for the Panthers, at 39, Troy Franklin is available, but I also think they can probably get one of these receivers here at 39. So at 33, I'm going to have them taking Chop Robinson. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been You Don't Know Ball Mock Draft Madness Day 46. If you don't know ball and want to know ball, be sure to subscribe. Leave a like. Let me know in the comments your favorite and least favorite pick from this mock draft, as well as trade scenarios you want me to try. Only a couple days left. Like I said, we'll have one more 2-rounder for you. We'll have a 3-rounder for you, and then we got the draft, and then we'll do draft pick breakdowns, everything like that. So thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your night.